lien operations by the former officers of Wilcox Ranch. Okay, let's go through some of these here. What's this here? This is a bill. They had a late charge on it. There's a late charge on there, $10. Okay, so they're doing late charges. That was in 15. Now, mind you, they knew that the association, the CCNRs, we can prove that they knew about it from back in 2005. There's a letter from an attorney in there. Okay, here's another one. This is in 15. This is a release of lien. And so they threaten these people from Wilcox Ranch.
Well, no, if it's a release of lien, they had a lien.
They had a lien. Well, here's the lien over here. I'm just saying, I'm looking at this first document. This is an actual filed document, the original, with wet ink on it by the former Secretary Treasurer. Okay? And then
Who's that, Natalie Nearing?
Yeah, well, and then here's the thing. They mailed it to them, and they actually, they recorded a notice of delinquency, lien upon real property. See, they didn't have the authority to do this. So these people are damaged, and this is called fraudulent concealment. They did release it, but they forced them to pay this money. Okay, now I remember they said, oh, it appears as voluntary. Well, that's BS because they were leaning properties up.
That doesn't sound voluntary to me.
Here's all this here. Okay, this is notice of delinquent assessment. Here's all the mail. Here's all the statements. Here's another one. A release of lien. Man, they were doing this multiple times on the same people.
So you have a copy of the mailings that they sent out?
Everything.
That's like
the original
through the mail.
Yeah, the original filings and the original wet ink and the notaries. I have it all in here, where they were putting these liens on here. Okay, now we can prove that the attorneys, they all knew, all the officers knew that they didn't have any authority. There's multiple emails and they were trying to cover this up. Okay, here's another one. Here's a representation by someone here, another member. And this is where they told me at $100, this is their title company. And that the former Secretary Treasurer, she has her name on here. And what is she going on here? A bunch of deeds and all this. That's basically telling them that they have to pay. Now here's one from Millennium Properties. Okay, now we have a claim against them for what they're doing with blocking the waterway over there on Zero Paw Springs. But they were hit in 14 with a threat letter. Now that they'll have a title suit against it also when they find this out. Okay, that's up to them. They were being defrauded by the Wilcox Ranch Property Owners Association. Late charges, bunch of email communications with that one. So they'd like to know, but here's a certified mail, and they says the associated records indicate that you have not yet paid your Property Owners Association annual assessment required by Article 6 of our Articles of Incorporation. A copy of the applicable section is enclosed. So they were charging $540, and they had no right to do so. That's what they're claiming now. You know. So I mean, I'm going through here. Okay. Here's another one. Here's some checks, and this is done by the Moose Guards. All done to the wife. They're running a phony business, a fake business, no license, no insurance, and it needs to be looked into because I don't know what she has to do with this business. They're writing all the names of her and him, and I think he was retired. This looks like Social Security fraud. So they write all the checks to her. What does she have to do? There is no business. They just made this up. It's a phony business, is what it looks like to me.
But there's only one. There's only one invoice.
Well, I found one in there. Well, we'll see if we get to that. But all these checks: 750, 650, 775, 200. No reference, nothing. And they're claiming that they're running a business. There's no accounting for any of it.
And it's $15,000 or
This was
$17,000.
15. So this is before. And then they got another one in here. They're threatening someone with late fees in here. Okay, this needs to be looked like a forensic auditing company that specializes in HOA frauds, POA frauds. This stuff goes on a lot. Okay, there's another one here written to the wife again of this phony business that they're running. Just round numbers, no accounting. Both officers, president, secretary, or treasurer, sign the check. They're back here late charging somebody. See, they're claiming that there's no authority to do this. Okay, this is another guy. Bunch of stuff. Here's the certified letters. Here's a threat letter. Okay, they had no authority to do it. And the officers, which is very damaging, that was in 2016 when they hired the attorney Gail Agnes Kern. They all knew about this. This is fraudulent concealment. They had no authority to do, but they kept doing these liens and threat letters. I mean, there's a dozen of them that were done to Mr. Belfort of the threat letters. Here's all the certified mail. Okay, they're doing all this stuff. And this is even before us. There's another one to her, $300 to the wife. And I really believe that they're doing a Social Security fraud with a fake business. No license, no insurance, no accounting for anything. And you'll notice on most of her checks, there's no endorsement on any of them. Okay, I don't know what she has to do. If this is a legit business, where's the business license? Where's your books and records? Because we're going to call those in.
Where's the contract?
Yeah, and we don't. There's nothing in there. So, I mean, I'm going through here. They're threatening. Here's a threat letter. All these letters. I mean, I can't. I'm just going through these real fast. But they're sending all this stuff out. But these were done in 14. Here's another one, the representations of the title to the T-Court title. This is the same thing we got, saying $150 for road maintenance, and we agreed to that contract. It's breach of contract. It's fraudulent concealment.
Isn't there a letter in there that says, "Hi, I'm Natalie. I handle all the liens"?
Probably. There's so much stuff in here. I mean, I can't sit here every day looking at this stuff. But there's a lot of lien operations and recordings. Okay, but what gets me is they started recording this stuff. The attorney was recording it after they told them they didn't have any authority to do this stuff. And they couldn't collect the money. Okay, and they knew about it, and then they went and voted a perpetuity in, but they failed to bring this up. And they also failed to bring it up in RSC 2002-3, I forget the name of the case, the total number. I think it's, I don't remember, 823, I don't remember. But they had a chance, they knew, and the attorneys concealed it, and we subpoenaed Gail Agnes Kern, and they all knew that they didn't have any authority to do this, and they quickly paid it. So that's going to be a motion to reopen due to fraud upon the court, because this whole thing is full of fraud. Okay? And doing these assessments, look at this stuff. They're all over. I have all the wet ink on it. Telling all the title companies all this stuff, and they're trying to make accusations like, you can ask for the bank account. Go ahead. We haven't touched the bank account. We have a stay on it. Okay. The only thing the bank account's being used for is for the post office and the license and all that until this is adjudicated. We haven't spent one dime, so their claims of us doing stuff with the money is bullshit. They were doing it. Here's some more right here. More checks, more threats through the mail on these past due and fines and all this stuff. It's all over the place in here. Another T-Court title. So they knew about this. This is fraudulent concealment.
Isn't there an NRS
and
that
then
specifically deals with this?
yeah, it's 205 something. False representations on titles. And see, they knew. Okay, they can't say they knew. The officers are in breach of trust. Anyways, it's just on and on here. Okay, they're running this thing, but the main thing is there's no accounting for the money. And there's all kinds of other people before me getting in here, and the first thing I did was turn them into the sheriff for financial frauds. And then ever since I did that, and actually Mr. Belfort's the one that asked for the checks. When I saw it, I knew what they were doing here. There's no accounting in a nonprofit. So they're deceptive and fraudulent business practice, breach of trust, fraudulent concealment done by attorneys, fraudulent recordings on everyone's titles. They clouded people's titles. They were running a fraud, and then they can't account for all the money. It's probably 75 to 90% over billing. Okay, over.
So that would mean if they billed for 400 hours, that means they did between they did like 100 hours worth of work and billed for 400, and I doubt they even did 100 hours of work.
Well, they're saying they did 400 hours, but in the 5 years. Now, when we went to these meetings and the minutes, they never told us that they didn't have authority to collect the money. Here's a letter from an attorney right here in 16.
Their equipment was not even capable of operating 400 hours.
They want to try to naysay us and say it's conspiracy theory. This is straight up title fraud, and I'll tell you what, I'm taking this all the way. You people better bring your lunch.
Yeah, we're not giving up.
Here's a vice president.
We're going to see it through.
Here's a interaction with the Jarvie property. This lady, there's several of them in here. This is where they were leaning the properties in 16 after they knew about it. I have the communications here with the former.
And it was real easy on that one, I think, because the lady died.
Yeah, but there was two other people in here that they were doing. Went for auction.
And then the vice president walked in and picked up like $3,400 or $3,500.
Yeah, there's another went to auction. Yeah, they took all this money. There's a probate one and all this. They had no right to collect this money. And they were threatening people with this. Yeah, I think they're getting away with this and want to call us conspiracy theory. You stole the money. You have no accounting, and you're running a fake business with Moose Guard, a fake, fraudulent business with no accounting. I want to see your books and records.
I believe all this ties in with the intentional devaluation of properties because they weren't doing
That's
the
exactly.
work.
We got them on there. They want the roads. Here's another one. All these representations. Okay, $100 to the title. Look at all these title documents. They were running this, and these attorneys knew. They knew. Stand by. There's going to be a criminal complaint coming. Stand by.